Nice. Hi.
This sound, do I need to move my mic at all? I don't know what it sounds.
I can increase your user volume here in Discord.
I just wasn't sure what it sounded.
Yeah, you're
very
good.
rarely use my mic, so I'm always moving it around. I just want to make sure it doesn't sound like I'm on a breathing apparatus or something every time I inhale.
No, you're good.
So,
I think. How's your week so far, man?
not too shabby. A little bit of it finally stopped raining here it's been raining off and on for multiple days, so now it just turned to sweltering hot working outside.
I
But
see.
it could always be worse. But other than that, just getting through the week. How about yourself?
Yeah, we've had a pretty cool summer so far, and pretty rainy too, in a good way. I got like a bunch of little plants in pots, so every time it kind of rains, I'm like, oh, sweet. I don't need to do
Go out and do
my
it.
watering chores, for the next day or so.
Exactly.
Yeah, Toronto can get really hot. Like a few times, like, there'd be like a bit of like a news banner that says like, today Toronto is hotter than Cairo, Egypt. And it's like, whoa. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's definitely something. Well, I mean, do you guys? I've only been there once, and it was years ago for high school. But like, I mean, humidity wise, like, do you guys? I mean, get it? As dumb as it
Oh yeah,
sounds,
it's
like,
brutal.
or
It's brutal.
okay. I
Yeah.
was gonna say because it's even when it's nice here, it's generally not the heat as always, but it's the humidity because like when it decides to be thick,
Yeah.
and I live right next to a river, so it's like
Uh-huh.
it feels amplified. In the summer, it's the extra humidity. In the winter, it's double cold because you're catching the wind
Yeah.
right off of the water. But no, it's like I said, it's not raining, so I'm not
Right
nagging
on.
too much, and it makes digging holes a heck of a lot easier. Let's just say that.
Sure.
So
Do you do most of
so it
your work
works for me.
outside?
It fluctuates. Wintertime, it's generally finishing out basements and like custom stuff like that. Summertime, we're still banging out a couple of decks just for in between stages,
Yep.
but right now we're in the process of like one house is finished out and the foundation just got finished for the other right next to it. So it's uh it's a little bit of an adjustment phase, but right now, yeah, I'm outside because I'm building the deck on the house that is being built.
Yeah.
Um, so it's just a giant mud pit right now.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
that's all that it
yeah.
is.
Yeah, yeah,
But it's not too bad. I mean, it sounds dumb, but like for what I do, like none of it interests me at all. Like, but when I'm in the garage, like making like a random serving tray or a little
Mm.
shield for that stuff, yeah, I can zone out to that for days on end.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's more or less like the job is just something to do, and occasionally pick up a new skill here or there.
Mm-hmm.
But really, it's more just for when I'm off the clock, like that type of thing, which I don't even know if I would want to turn it into a job because I'm always so fearful of like killing the thing I
Yeah.
like hobby wise.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's really just been trying to learn on the job slash on the fly. But I'm also a stickler for like I want to do it well.
Yeah.
So skill wise, I just kind of keep it under wraps and not necessarily broadcast it because I'd rather it be at a correct level before I'm doing it in someone's house.
Yeah,
You know what
that's
I mean?
that's
So
admirable for sure. So,
I don't want my name on it if it's gonna backfire.
if it's not up to snuff, how the heck do you have any
Yeah.
time for video games then, man?
Because it's the perfect. I mean, it sounds like the textbook, like basic answer, but it's like the perfect escapism.
Hmm.
When like music and tinkering in the garage doesn't cut it, like I like stepping away from everything and you get the old live, die, repeat where it's not as dire consequences or anything like that. And I've always just enjoyed if what the game looks like or what the
Sure.
world is
Yeah.
like. I never usually go too hard like lore wise, but for certain RTSs or just different types of games, like seeing the whole world that's built, like I like just appreciating it and exploring it and checking it out because
Uh-huh.
it's a multitude of people's ideas, like for something that might not ever even get called out, like the way they did the houses or
Yeah.
this. Like I like seeing it, and it's always just interested me. So
Yeah.
that's usually I don't sleep a whole ton, so that's where the video games thing come into
That's
play.
that's also
It's
helpful. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just nice for shutting your brain off and zoning out, even if you're still putting an effort to like try. And if it's a competitive game or whatever,
Uh-huh.
you still hit that like perfect wavelength where your brain's functioning, but you're just kind of in the zone, not doing anything. And
Yeah.
I really enjoy that.
I used to do a lot of cycling around the city, and what I loved the most about it was like it's actually kind of dangerous to ride a bike in Toronto in particular. Some of the streets are pretty
Yeah.
narrow, some of the traffic's pretty gnarly. But what I loved about it was when I was on the road, I had to pay attention to like everything. I had to read all the traffic, I had to watch all the parked cars. Are there any silhouettes of heads in like the driver's seat? Am I going to get doored? What's the timing on the lights? There's just all this stuff happening, and it just filled my brain to the brim where there was no space for anything else, and I just got to ride through the city. And I always loved that you just pack your brain full of this one activity, and there's no space for anything else, and you just kind of like you're using your brain but not really, you know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. I know you've mentioned cycling before. I I didn't like like I always just had a fixed gear BMX bike, but when I years ago when I was like, hey, I'm just gonna quit drinking, I just got into at like midnight. I would throw on a headset and go around like the town I grew up in. It's smaller.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I would from like midnight until I was either tired enough to fall asleep or like 2 a.m. I would just ride and just zone out. And it was similar where I was paying attention. Obviously, I don't want to get hit by a car.
Yeah.
Um, but still, since it's late at night, there's less people out. It's just less populated. It was kind of nice to have like that empty setting where I still paid attention, but
Uh-huh.
it was just like it was I don't know, it was I miss it. I honestly I have been thinking about getting a bike again
Yeah.
because I just enjoyed kind of it's the same reason I go purposely driving in the snow in the winter because no one really goes out. And I like just being out and about in like an empty, it's like before everyone loads in.
Yeah.
It's just kind of cool to take it in at late night. I don't know. There's just something about it.
Yeah.
It's got a draw to it,
Wicked.
especially with good music.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, we're already off the ground, dude. This is it. This is the this is the concept. We're just gonna have a little conversation. I figured like the vision was for like a modest interview series, kind of like a summer project, something to focus
Yeah.
on. Well, like other people, like everyone seems to be kind of scattering from dark and darker, right? And so I don't really
Yeah.
feel like motivated to make any content about that game in particular. Nothing else is kind of like serious enough in my life to like make content on that. So I figured there's so many interesting people in this community, and everyone kind of
That's
already
for sure.
knows each other. And so why not just like take it a step further and like just do a few little podcast episodes and chance me to highlight some folks, and that's the idea.
Sounds interesting. I'm I'm more interested to hear obviously all the
Other
other
people,
people.
yeah.
Yeah. Like
Well,
I hate
you
hearing
already know your
myself.
story, right? So
Yeah. I mean, I've caught up on most of it. Like I remember most of it, but no, I mean, it's stuff like, and again, I'm not glazing or blowing smoke, but like I think it's interesting. Like I'm just interested to hear it once it's a finished product and
yeah.
see what you guys do with it.
Well, I can
I don't
say
know,
like
it's just
now that
kind of
I've got
cool.
a few of these conversations under my belt, like I've just been blown away with. There's nothing groundbreaking. Like it's just we're not solving any giant mysteries, but it's so cool just to like spend a bit of time and get to know people, and it's they've turned into really great conversations. So welcome to the water cooler. Thanks for your time, Sneakers.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Awesome. The first question is, what is the origin of your handle? Everyone's got like a gamer tag, a gamer handle. What's the origin of SneakerBeaster?
It's kind of I don't know, two things mashed together. I mean, I'm not like some hype beast like, oh my god, these are $800. Look,
That's
I
what I
hate
thought
that.
for
I
sure. I
hate
was nervous. I was like, uh-oh.
no. I hate that part of like the shoe culture,
Sure.
but I have always liked shoes just for differing reasons, whether it's back to like the shell toe or just other silly stuff. But I've always been interested in like the origins of like why that was popular and stuff like that. And there's
Right.
multiple books that I've just gotten lost in. But it was that and the movie Sneakers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was one of those things. When I was younger, my father lived near two different VHS rental places. I'm old.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and so it was just one random movie, and then next thing I know, I rewatched it like 3 or 4 times
Oh
just
yeah.
because it was one of those things where I was like, "Oh, this is different, and this is actually pretty cool."
Tremendous
Um,
movie. It's like one of my favorite movies growing up, for
yeah,
sure. I loved it.
it's got a good cast.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just kind of worked out that I like when there's a funny handle, but then sometimes I'll see people's names and I'm like, really, that's what you wanted to type in? Like, all right. It was one of those things I didn't want anything super silly, and I kind of like that both words are almost equal.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so it was just like it looked like it fit in the space bar where you were typing it in like really well.
Mm-hmm.
And my biggest debate was, do I capitalize the B or the R at the end of Beaster?
I see.
Um,
I think you made the right
and
choice.
yeah, and so other than that, yeah, it was just those two kind of things mashed together, and I haven't changed it. That's from Xbox. Like
Yeah.
I haven't.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
always been the same. I've
Uh-huh.
lucked out that even with the culture, that I'm surprised no one snagged it, and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have to be SneakerBeaster 1 or something like that.
Heaven
Uh,
forbid.
yeah, so it worked out. But other than that, no, that's how it
Yeah.
just came to be, and I
Awesome.
never thought about it since.
Yeah, if it stands the test of time, you know you made the right choice, right?
Yeah, it worked.
What part of the world are you currently in? You don't have to be specific, but just a general idea.
Oh, yeah, I'm not worried about it. I live in Pittsburgh, right outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
PA. Cool.
Yeah,
Right.
East Coast. I was born not far from here, so I haven't made it super, super far. Um, but yeah, no, I
Awesome.
lived here all my life, and I'm just a river rat. Like
Cool.
I
Good
love it.
look at like all 4 seasons in PA.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's nice, right? Um,
No, it works out.
when were you born? In the 90s, the 2000s, in the 80s, in the latter half, and the earlier half of the decade?
I was born in '83, and my social security number. No, I'm just kidding. No, no, I was born in 1983,
Right on.
so I'm 41.
Cool. And what do you do for work these days?
Construction, I
Hmm.
guess, is the best way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
Although that also sounds like do nefarious illegal stuff, and I just say
Waste
construction.
management. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's generally, I would say, like my main actual clock in job is just like home construction and renovation.
Yeah.
Off the clock is just custom stuff,
Yeah.
depending on what people ask me for.
Yeah. Well, back to the topic of gaming and being able to turn your brain off for a little bit. Um,
Sure.
can you list your top 1 or 2 types of games that you love to play?
Um, I mean, it's so hard to narrow it down since every game comes out has like 9 things attached to it now, where it's like sandbox, open world, PvE, PvP, DVD, Blu-ray. Like it's like 9 things. But I mean, I guess more simple answers. The 2 games I can work backward from this, but excluding Balatro because that's just an
Oh
addiction,
yeah.
not a game.
Yeah.
The 2 games that I have the most amount of hours in
Uh-huh.
is DayZ, and then it was Rainbow Six Siege. But
Uh-huh.
that was like 3/4 console and then transitioning
I
to
see.
PC.
I see.
So I guess more of like survival crafting
Mm-hmm.
type
Mm-hmm.
games. Um, Only because I'm not a super tryhard. Like even in Siege, I don't think all my life, regardless of the game, I don't think I've ever been above like a point 0.8 KD because I don't care. I just like playing like support or
Yeah,
medic
sure.
or
Sure.
just I like playing the team more than trying to be like the top of the
Yes.
leaderboard. Um, and with DayZ and stuff like that, it's kind of a mix of everything where you can try and go out and get kills and whatnot, but it's more usually always been a couple of buddies of mine just messing about. And like
Yeah.
I've tried to explain that game to people before, and I'm like, no, 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 you don't understand. It's super boring, but super awesome. And it's just like I could see their face just shut off, and I'm like, I'm gonna stop talking now. Um, But yeah, those are the two that I have the most hours in, but in types of games like that. Like I like to dabble in a little bit of everything,
Uh-huh.
but
How would you classify
it's
Siege then? Like, is it like a tactics game? It's like is it a team deathmatch game? Like, what is it?
it's in the middle of a weird transition period right now from again keeping tabs on it, even though I haven't played it in a good while. I think it just went free to play and they added a game mode, but not all of it is free to play. It's
Weird.
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 But it would technically be it started as a team-based shooter, competitive or not, depending on if you're doing ranked or whatnot.
Like
But
Counter-Strike.
yeah, just a couple extra things in there, like for breaching, because it was attack defend, but more like actually setting up defenses and
There's a little bit of
attackers
building,
trying
a
to.
little bit of tactics, not just like a static map every time like CS. Like there's
Well,
a
it's the same maps, but like the operators have different operators have different kits, like not heavy, medium,
mm,
light, but more like literally every operator has a different gadget.
uh-huh.
Um,
Cool.
so some counter others, and or there's more than one counter
Huh.
to a certain operator. And I didn't think it was actually going to live this long.
Huh.
So it's been really interesting to start from like I bought it day one and I probably quit playing, I don't know, 3 or 4 seasons ago.
Uh-huh.
But just keeping tabs on it, like seeing what it's kept going and evolved into, I always make it a point to check back for the seasonal events, like the
Mm-hmm.
Halloween things and
Mm-hmm.
Christmas and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it would technically be a team-based tactical shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It sounds like there's some proto classes in there too, right? Like if every different operator has kit that is like different, and then that has a strength or weakness depending on who you're facing. Like there's a little bit of Team Fortress, a little bit of like I'm reluctant to say like hero shooter, but like it's neat to think that there's like class identity there, and there's like team comp matters more so than Counter Strike, which where the line is kind of drawn at like you can buy different weapons, and those different weapons have different sprays and different power levels, whatever. You know, it sounds like there's a bit
yeah.
more to it there.
Oh yeah, again with the operators, like some of them are 3 speed, 2 armor. Some are 3 armor, 2 or 1 speed. So there's
Mm-hmm.
also that as well.
Hmm.
But since they keep adding to it at a slightly staggered pace sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
uh, it's more just been it still boils down to like one team is trying to get into the building, one team is trying to prevent that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so just seeing the gadgets that some of the newer or past operators have, it's like a lot of them you read it or see it and you're like that's dumb, and then you see it in play and you're like, all right, I can kind
Ah.
of get what they're going for.
Yeah.
Like you can kind of cook by playing it how it's supposed to be played.
Uh-huh.
But even though we were never trying to go super crazy, it was just fun to play.
Yeah.
When you occasionally are like, "Oh my god, I just got an ace and killed the whole other team,"
Yeah.
or other times you die 2 seconds into the match by doing some idiotic and not knowing some weird angle. So
Right.
I like that it was the same yet could be different, depending on who was picked, how the gadgets were deployed, how the reinforcements were put up,
Uh-huh.
and so that kind of drawed me in. After that, it was different games like that. I always try and have like a multiplayer game to mess with and a single player game,
Uh-huh.
uh, so that I can use one to get away from the other if I'm
Uh-huh.
getting kind of burnt out, or something like that, or if one's in a bad state. Like
Sure.
if I still played Dark and Darker, I all right, maybe I'll step away, and I would just be messing with a bunch of smaller games because that's why I have a computer in the first place.
Yeah, yeah.
Is single to double A more than triple A games for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. How many games roughly did you purchase in the past 12 months?
Past 12 months, I would say 7
Uh-huh.
loosely. Well, excluding demos, I guess I would drop it down to like 5 or 6.
Uh-huh.
Um, but all smaller games or games that I played before that I wanted to jump back into. Like I'm
Uh-huh.
running back through XCOM 2 right now.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I'd say yeah. We'll go with 6.
Cool. And in general, how do you feel about PvP in games? I know it's not a thing that's for everyone, but you just said like, you'll keep a multiplayer game, you'll keep a single player game kind of like in the active slots for yourself to bounce back and forth. How do you feel about PvP in games in general?
I like it. Um, I guess to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said before, like I'm not a super sweaty like try hard.
Yeah.
Like I like playing it. But if I'm not gonna like, punch my monitor if I don't get any kills or anything like that. Um, so I like it. It's just I guess it just depends on how it goes. I hate when if a game gets announced or whatever, or I even know people that'll do this where I'll get them to play it and they're like, "Oh, is it ranked?" And I'm like, "Or we could play the game."
Yeah.
Like
You
I'm
just-
not always trying to like, does this game have ranked? Oh, never mind. And like, so I like, I guess, casual PvP.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I like that it exists because it's when it works, it just hits right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I can see how people will main a game. Like I don't like only playing like one game, but I can definitely see like with certain or even like the finals. I know it ebbs and flows, but
Mm.
like if I start playing, it's like, well, I'm gonna be playing this for the next 7 days just because
Feels
it
good.
when it works, it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's
Yeah.
just when a shooter or melee
Sure.
type PvP game when they get it close,
Yeah.
it's awesome. And I don't mind jank, like because I mean Daisy's janky, Dark and Darker had some jank to it.
Yeah.
Like there can be some I don't know, like sometimes the jank is good. Like
Yeah. Sure.
I don't mind. Like so yeah, it's just more or less I guess like how it just runs, how the PvP works.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, no, I like it.
Uh-huh. So can you recall one of the most memorable moments from gaming in the past year? Feel free to like blow past the time scale if you want to cherry pick from the distant past.
No, one that's within a year, even though it was only because I had just found the clip, but it's from before this year. There's a handful of like Daisy content creators on YouTube that I'll check out,
Sure.
and one of them that's smaller. I don't even know how I got into watching his videos in all honesty. But it was like 2 in the morning and I got to watch myself get my head taken off in DayZ. And then it was one of those things where everything made sense because mind you, this death in game happened like probably 5 years ago. But
Whoa.
I only just now saw the video and I was like, wait a minute. I was like, I know. And then when they checked our bodies, they saw the other person I was playing with. I got to see their name and I'm like, oh, that was me. I was like, that's
Uh-huh.
how I died.
Uh-huh.
And it was just one of those things where we didn't know what happened. Cause like if you get shot in DayZ, it's just black screen.
That's it.
You're dead.
Yeah.
Like you're lucky if you hear the gunshot,
Right.
but we didn't know what happened like when I did originally die. So just seeing it randomly when I'm surfing YouTube late at night, and I was just like, I felt like the Leonardo DiCaprio meme where I'm like pointing at the screen. I'm like, that's me. Oh, okay. And it was just like so weird to randomly end up on
Yeah.
the internet
Yeah.
game wise for
Yeah.
like 10 seconds. Like
Yeah.
it blew my mind.
Yeah, I posted a few
Um,
videos for Dark and Darker, and then I get the odd comment where it would be like that feeling when you sit down to your lunch break and you turn on a dad video to watch yourself get bonked in the head.
yeah.
Like some people would leave comments, and I always thought that what a trip that must be to be the guy who's like in the video getting smashed, and then like completely unrelated just sits down to watch a Dark and Darker video, and then you see yourself, and that must just be a really funny experience.
Oh yeah, I mean, at least I mean, I know you've done it previously, like on your channel, like spectating after you die or whatever. But
Yeah.
like, I find stuff like that funny because even like the original Bob, I've always been interested if that guy randomly came across the video and was like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah.
And it's like opening up the cupboard and finding
Little
out there's
does
like
he
a whole
know.
movement.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just like, and so yeah, it's cool to see what happens after the clip or after
Yeah.
the death where like
Yeah.
you think it was some heated battle and then when you see the other person's perspective they were either just as clueless as you or you're like, oh my god, like I didn't even do a dent,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
so it's cool to see stuff like that.
Yeah. Part of me hopes that Bob Boberson doesn't discover that we've made a whole little cult, a little shrine to
Yeah.
him or whatever.
I want royalties.
Yeah, you want in, you want to cut.
Yeah.
No, there's nothing.
wanna
There's
cut.
nothing to give. Okay, I got a little bit of a lightning round. So for these questions, don't feel obligated to go any deeper than you want to for the questions. Okay, lightning round. What's your favorite thing to drink?
Fizzy water,
Fizzy water,
sparkling water.
carbonated water.
Yeah,
Excellent,
yeah.
excellent answer.
TV static water, whatever people call it.
Do they call it that?
It's just I've heard it mentioned
I
before.
see. No, I love it. I love it. Sorry, one second.
You're good.
I got excited.
I don't
Okay.
want to be the interview that killed your
No,
throat.
no, it's all good. What's the first PC you or your family had? Can you remember?
It was a gateway. I don't know the specific, but it was a
gateway?
giant. Yeah. Just the gateway PC. That was the first because it was family computer first,
Yeah.
and then I
Yeah, of
ended up.
course.
But yeah,
Of
that's
course.
the first one that I recall, and it barely ran Command and Conquer.
Yeah. Was it Windows like 3.1? Was it Windows 95? Do you remember the OS?
I know it came. Oddly enough, it came pre-installed with like Gateway's
No.
own version. I wish I could remember, not own operating system, but like it almost felt like you were using a computer at the store where it's like, this is your computer. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah. Can I just close this and
Yeah.
go to Windows? Um,
Weird.
but yeah, I want to say it was, oh man, probably Windows 95.
Yeah. Did you have a special
I could
room for it in the house? Special spot for it?
we did have a computer room
Yeah.
that ultimately ended up getting split into or turned into a siblings room. But yeah,
Uh-huh.
no, we had it started in the front entryway, and I think after like a week of my parents hearing it, they're like, yeah, no, this isn't gonna work.
Yeah.
So then it got moved to the second floor of the house
Yeah.
in its own little walk-in closet room, and that's
Yeah.
where it stayed.
Yeah. Man, love the old computer rooms, eh?
Oh yeah.
Where would you consider yourself a Nintendo kid or a Sega kid?
We had both Nintendo first,
Mm-hmm.
but it died, and then I had
It died.
Sega the longest.
Dang.
It,
That's sad.
well, it didn't die. Someone lost, not me. Someone lost their temper and threw a controller,
Oh no.
and it met its demise.
I see.
Uh, Sadly.
I,
So
I see.
Communion was Sega, and then the Sega 32X
Uh-huh.
add-on.
Is it safe to say the Sega kid then? Or is that or do you have no
Yeah.
brand
Definitely.
loyalty?
Well, that's what I had the longest out of the
Okay,
two
cool.
was Sega.
Cool. What's the one candy or snack that you just have to buy from the convenience store if you walk into one?
Uh,
We're going
I
deep,
mean,
sneakers.
yeah, no, I mean these days it's on sale, but it's probably something along the lines of like not chocolate, like whether
Uh-huh.
it be sour Skittles or a
Uh-huh.
bag of gummy cherries or something like that.
Uh-huh.
Like more in that vein.
Sure, yeah.
If I have to grab a candy,
If you have to grab a
uh,
candy. Yeah, you're old
yeah.
enough to remember what was it, bubble tape? Remember bubble
Uh,
tape?
Bubble tape, Big League Chew. Uh, it's bad when we make gum that. Well, hell, they had the candy cigarettes too. But
Oh yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
leave it to us, where they're like, no, it's chew, but for kids, and we make it bubble gum. It's like this isn't gonna end well. But yeah, all
Yeah,
the good stuff. If you can still find not good and plenty, but good and fruity, that's where it's at.
I see.
Um, oh, good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Can you cook? And if so, do you have a specialty dish?
I can, yeah, I can cook. I would not offer it to anyone. Um, but if I had a specialty dish, I don't know if it would count technically as cooking, but like I make a mean sandwich.
Yeah,
Like
sure.
if I have the proper materials at hand,
Mm-hmm.
or if I go all out at the store with one of those, you're driving home and you're like, I'm gonna make a hoagie today.
Yeah.
I can
Yes.
make a mean sandwich. If not stew, like stew slash chili
Yeah.
is my go-to, just because you can get multiple servings out of it
Yeah.
for the next couple of days.
Yeah. When I was a kid, my dad he liked to golf a lot, and he'd always drag me along. And my favorite part
Same.
of the golfing outing days was I get to have a club sandwich at like the whatever golf course we were at or whatever. And I
Yeah.
loved a club sandwich so much. I think that's probably one of my favorite foods when I was a kid.
No, that's a good pick. There's
Uh-huh.
a amazing Mitch Hedberg bit about club sandwiches, but no, it's weird that you said that because I used to get used as like the hey, go get this guy's autograph kid
Ah,
for my stepdad
the
at like
pity
golf
ask.
tournaments and
Yeah,
whatnot.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so it was one of those I would barter with like, all right, but I want, and we'd go get something to eat. I didn't necessarily pick the club, but it was like, no, you're giving me food if I'm doing it.
Sure, yeah.
So the sandwiches definitely hit the spot.
Yeah, right on. What's the longest gaming session you've ever had? Like butt in chair kind of thing.
It's easily got to be, I'd say, like 9 to 11 hours,
Mm-hmm.
like 8 to 12,
Mm-hmm.
on both actually, Siege and DayZ.
Right on.
It's just, if you get into it, you're not moving.
Yeah, you're stuck in.
I was younger too, so it was like I
Yes.
had the time off.
Yeah, for sure. How many hours on average do you sleep a night?
Mm, Not a ton. Um, I I'd say I honestly, if I had to think about it a whole ton, I maybe average 5.5.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it takes me forever to fall asleep.
Sure.
So it's just one of those kind of like waiting for my brain to shut off or trying to do enough stuff to make myself tired enough to
Yeah,
think
yeah.
I could sleep.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it's usually turning in at like 1 a.m., maybe falling asleep at like 2:30,
Yeah.
and then getting up at 7,
Yeah.
7:30.
Yeah.
So
Five
it's
and a
yeah,
half is
it's about
enough. It's not like that's probably as low as I'd want to go, but I think you can get by on that.
I'm just kind of used to it now. Like I
Yeah.
know it's not the great. I know everyone's get 8, blah blah blah, but it's weird. I feel even when I try and sleep in, like I don't know. It's not necessarily groggy, but like I get up and I'm like, all right, well, there's part of my day gone.
Mm-hmm.
Like so I don't know. I just like doing stuff
Mm-hmm.
and sleep. I get enough to operate, and then
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay, cool. GG, that's the lightning round. You made it through.
Sweet. All
Cool.
right,
Two
cool,
more
cool, cool.
questions for you, and then I'll let you go because you've been very generous with your time. I
No
appreciate it.
worries. All
Um,
right.
there are lots of games in early access right now, and it seems like early access is kind of like par for the course these days for game dev. What are your thoughts on early access games?
Oof. I guess it depends on what they do with it.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think it's a solution for every type of game,
Mm-hmm.
or even every game company.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it just boils down to how they capitalize on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are games that have done the early access route and for way longer than I thought they would, to
Yeah.
where you start thinking like, all right, this game's not coming out.
Yeah.
And they've capitalized on it, but then on the flip side of it, it's like I'm only going to play test your game for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Like figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Give me a
Uh,
product, you know?
well, or have more together before you go to early
Yeah.
access. Only
Yes.
because, like, even sometimes I'm willing to play the most broken of games, but even in that, there's certain ones where you're like, I don't even know what this game is right now, like
Mm.
that we're trying to play. Um, so I think it can help some smaller companies, but yeah, I think it just boils down to how it gets utilized.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think there's one solution for every game,
Mm-hmm.
but it does work for some, and I think it kills others.
Mm-hmm. And it is abused in other cases. Uh,
Yeah, or makes for good laundering of money and whatnot.
sure. Yeah. Who knows, right? Are there any early access games that you're following right now?
Um, I mean, other than Arc Raiders, seeing what happens with that, I'm
Yeah.
still keeping my eye on Legacy. I haven't jumped back in yet.
Mm-hmm.
To see. But off the top of my head, I'm trying to think of Arc Seed is another small game
Hmm.
that I stumbled across that's still early on.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, because Sulfur came out, so that's not early access anymore. That
Mm-hmm.
wasn't another one that I was checking out.
Mm-hmm.
But really, off the top of my head and off the icons on my screen,
Mm-hmm.
those are the only ones I can really think of.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure there's a bunch that I'm forgetting.
Yeah, no
Because
worries.
I don't know. There's so many different ways to hear about smaller games.
Yeah.
I like try and make lists when I can or save the video.
Yeah.
Others I just completely forget about until
Yeah,
they come
yeah.
out.
What is it about Arc Seed that seems interesting to you?
It's got giant robots in it. I
Yeah.
mean, that's really all.
Yeah.
It has giant robots in it, but it almost looks like it would have been if you did that through the lens of Command and Conquer 1 or 2,
Yeah.
like the smaller sprite style,
Uh-huh.
um, and it's like tactical turn-based kind of.
Uh-huh.
But it was just one of those things that I saw it on one of Skill Up's like kind of small game roundups
Uh-huh.
videos.
Uh-huh.
And it was one of those like, oh, giant robot, it looks like that. I got to go check this out.
Uh-huh.
And so that was I'm an easy
An
sell
easy
for
sell on that, eh? Yeah.
yeah, for
Yeah.
certain things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but I'm just curious to see. I don't expect it to be some crazy, 300-hour game, but I'm just curious to see what they do with it.
Yeah,
I
sure.
like when people just take a swing at. It's not necessarily something new, like the type of game, but
Uh-huh.
just like yeah, giant robots
Uh-huh.
versus aliens. It's like okay, yeah, sure.
Doesn't take
Let's see
much
what
to
you
get
can
me
do.
interested. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like let's see what you do.
Yeah. Cool.
So
Okay, last question.
sure.
Is there any specific kind of game that you hope comes out in the next 2 years or so? Like, what's your dream game to play?
I I don't I have an answer, but I don't know if it would be like my all dream game. But I was watching. I knew of the Mountain Blade game that you played the other
Uh
day.
huh.
I just never looked into it.
Uh huh.
But having seen it, and then just most recently starting to tinker again, like I said with XCOM 2,
Uh huh.
I would like to see that style of game, not medieval times. Like
Oh, interesting.
I don't know how well that would transfer because a lot of it is obviously like melee and
So, what
archery
era
based
then?
and
Like,
stuff like that.
you want to see kind of like a boots on the ground RTS game, but more like Space Marines, or more like Modern Warfare, or what's like the kind of
Uh,
thematic backdrop?
I don't know if I don't know if I'm locked into one. It could be almost anything. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that visual does. I thought the game looked great, but I just would be curious to see if something like that. And I just picked XCOM and mashed them together. It doesn't have to be space aliens and
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
like that. But I would just be curious to see if a style of, or at least a game with a lot of those functions and features,
Mm-hmm.
like how it would work out or what it would look like. I think it could be really interesting, or seeing it almost multiplayer or small scale multiplayer, even if it was only like up to 5 people on a map or in a world or something.
Mm-hmm.
It would just be interesting to see that style in a different look. Because I have a love hate relationship with like medieval olden timey stuff. Like
Hmm.
I like a good bit of it, but then I'm like just sick of seeing a lot of the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, yeah, I'm not locked into a world style. It doesn't have to be cyberpunk or steampunk or any other type of punk. It could even be like feudal Japan. It would be cool to see like a Mountain Blade in, or there might already be a game that exists and I just don't know about it. But in that era, or
Sure.
it could still be olden timey, but just maybe a different period. It would be cool to see. I would like that as a time sync idea. But yeah, who knows? It's just
Awesome.
something that within the past week was in my brain.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so it sounds like you got some fond memories of like old Command and Conquer, like RT. Like that's some of the first games I played on like the family PC were with Command and were the old RTS games.
Well, it's more like I guess I would be curious to see of like I mean I know you could already do multiplayer in those games, but I'd be
Mm-hmm.
more curious to see like if it were Command and Conquer, but it's 1 to 5 people on the same like not like oh you're red and I'm green, but like literally on the same team in that
Mm.
style. I'd just be curious to see what you could do gameplay wise, or it might not even work, but
Hmm.
almost like if you were playing Command and Conquer with multiple people on the same
Mm-hmm.
team, like
Mm-hmm.
same one squad.
Mm-hmm.
Because you could, in the sense of the Mountain Blade thing, like since there's so much little stuff to do, zooming in on the towns and talking to NPCs and whatnot, like
Yeah. Yeah.
even if it was like someone working for the Vespine gas and the spice mines, the other guy is
Yeah.
blah blah blah, and
Yeah.
just and then it's like oh go to battle and everyone kind of
Is
you know
there and like and
yeah,
does
like,
their
yeah,
own
you do
thing.
this
Yeah.
this as your job, but at the end of the day,
Yeah.
you're still a soldier. So
Yeah.
it'd be cool to see the multiplayer aspect of it, but then still do the fighting. Like
Yeah.
I don't know.
Almost like a real-time shared campaign where everyone's on the board, everyone's on the same team, everyone's got their job to do on the kind of campaign map, and then similarly on the battle map, you've got like you and 4 friends on the same side with your squads, you know, and you've got like a rough battle plan. So you have like you've got the scale of the battle, which would be interesting, but you got a bunch of people working together, you know, in the kind of breaking up some of the responsibilities. It would be cool.
Yeah, like you could still do the zoom in, like similar to the style of the fighting you were doing the other day, but zooming out maybe, you're running all of the archer squads.
Yes.
This person's running blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So it's almost like similar to the stuff you have to do in Foxhole with, having the supplies prepared and ready. I don't know. Like I like the meta and also the small scale of it.
Yeah.
And I would just be curious to see which features of both could kind of mesh well together.
Yeah. Cool.
Just be interesting to see instead of, the same COD every 3 months. Like, I don't know. I just want to see people try different game types. And that's why I think single and double A is like kind of where it's at.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I hear you, man. Awesome. Well, the time has flown by, my friend.
Indeed, it has. I hope I haven't rambled.
No, I
way
kept
too
you for
much.
longer than I think I told you I'd need you for. So thanks for your time, man. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate the chance at the talk. I'm curious to see what you do with it.
Awesome. I'll definitely let you know when it's up, and you can have an advanced look. And if it looks a-okay, then we'll push it live.
All right, man. Sounds cool.
Okay, I'll leave it there. Thanks again. I really appreciate it.
All right, no, I appreciate it as well. Have a good night.
Okay, take care.